War and Hate show. I'm War and Hate. And I'm already grooving to the music because I have to psych myself up because I just finished watching tonight's episode of Monday Night Raw for August 6th. Sorry about that. August 6th, 2018. Man, I need to be psyched up because it's a weird episode and I gotta try and stay positive. There's no more music, so there's no point in me keeping me doing that. I'm glad you're here. Nonetheless, thank you for listening, pressing play on your video playing device, your YouTube internet connection apparatus. It's very much a pleasure. Now, before we go on, I just want to say last week, some of you who watched my reviews last week know that on Monday I went to the zoo with my family. We went to one of these zoos where you stay in your car and you go like on a safari run. You know, animals are all around you. And I got a couple of DMs about the camel that we ran into, and I'm going to put the photo up again right here. This camel was the biggest camel, and I'm just putting it up again because no one could really believe it in the DMs that I got. Everyone was like, how big was this camel? It was huge. It was a tank-like camel. I never thought camels could get that big. And this is just an excuse to show you guys the camel again. That's why I'm putting it up. Just using that. Because still, as 1 week later, and in my entourage, among people that I frequent and spend time with, I still talk about that goddamn camel and how big it was. The vehicle on the pit. Let me show you again. Let's look at it again. See that the camel is the truck that's there is one of these military convoys. You know that you just pack soldiers into there. That thing is huge, and the camel is towering over it. Well, maybe not over it, but it's still pretty big. This camel is going to live with me for a while. It's going to stay in my brain for quite a bit. And then especially after that, it came to our car. And little Hayes, my daughter, she was in the back, and she starts feeding the thing, and it lowers its enormous head and sticks it right into the car window. Unnecessarily stressful. And another DM this week of someone asking me, you know, how things were going with my God of War run, because as many people know, you know, I have spoken about this a few times. I didn't talk about it much last week, but you know, I am quite possibly the greatest God of War player on planet Earth right now. And because I've defeated all the Valkyries except one. Now I'm at the point where I have to defeat the Valkyrie Queen, and I haven't had much time to play any video games over the past week, but I've tried going after the Valkyrie Queen, and basically she does everything the other Valkyries do, right? That's her thing. Like she has every one of their attacks all jammed into one. How is that fair? How is that fair? Like, even I, as the greatest God of War player, I even realize that this is extremely unfair. Not one creature, opponent, adversary, even if it is a boss, not one of these has all the attacks. That's impossible. Anyway, so I'm having a bit of a hard time, but it's to be expected. A lot of people were telling me this is the hardest boss of the game. So even though I am the greatest God of War player, I think it's normal that I finally encounter some kind of challenge, right? All right. Oh, one more thing. Okay, one more thing, and then we'll get on to this. about a week, 10 days ago, I purchased this. Okay, it's a juice box. It's an Asobu juice box, and I'm not necessarily endorsing, but this is for, again, for my daughter. It's basically what it is. It's a, you see, it's a it's a reusable juice box. So instead of purchasing, juice boxes from the grocery, then you drink it all up and then you throw it away. You can just fill this with juice, and it acts as a juice box. And you see so you put it in your child's lunchbox like this, just like that, and then the kid just pulls this back, straw pops up, and as the straw is down here, you see, because of the pressure of this lever here, I guess, this press, it presses the straw down, and there's like a little groove here that cuts the pressure, that makes sure that no liquid falls over, it comes over. So I purchased this off of Amazon. By the way, very satisfied with it. It's very cool, well made, and and in the packaging there's a little coupon, and it says, well, thank you for your purchase. Why don't you email us and we'll send you a free gift. I'm like, okay, I like free gifts. So I open the little package and I type it in, send an email, get an email back saying thank you very much for buying this. Leave us a review on Amazon. By the way, we will send you a free gift. And what I was expecting, even before I sent the email, was they'll give me an Amazon gift card. But like 2 or 3 days later, I get a package in the mail. I didn't order anything so soon. I open it up, and inside is this. This is from the same company that developed this juice box. This water bottle, very thin, it's called the E-Flask. E-Flask, right? And on the packaging, it was indicated, the designed for today's contemporary individuals. You expect all your devices to be thin, such as your laptop and your phones. So of course you expect your drinking bottles to be as thin and portable. You can slide them in your bag and it fits in a pocket. So and they sent me the red model, and it's just plastic, and it's a flask, but it's the E-Flask for thirsty people on the go who like their electronics. And when I saw it, I was like, oh, cool, is this like one of these bottles that has Bluetooth, on it, that'll tell you how much water you're drinking in a day, or will send you an alert once your water levels are low, or I don't know, something like that. But no, it's just like this really flimsy piece of plastic that's very thin. We'll give them that, like, as far as, but it's also not super. It's not super useful. There's dribblage. The E-Flask. Buy this. This is cool. The Asobu, ASOBU juice box. This is well made. This is cool. Then have them send this free to you, because, and don't actually put any money into this. This is my E-Flask. All right, let's talk about Raw. Yeah, I thought it was a confusing episode. I'm all wet. Oh no, wait! Just before we jump into Raw, I've been talking too much, man. All right, look, tomorrow being Wednesday, I'll have my SmackDown Live review. on the channel here. I'll also have my 205 Live NXT combination review over on FightfulSelect.com. You don't know what FightfulSelect.com is? Well, it's Fightful.com premium subscription service, which is a complement to Fightful.com, the combat sports news website, pro wrestling, MMA, boxing, all covered there. But on FightfulSelect.com, for subscribers, you get a whole bunch of extra content. You get members-only podcasts. You get, like, for instance, my combination 205 Live NXT review. You get the Weekender podcast, which is Sean Ross Sapp, who basically wraps up the week's news in wrestling, does some reviews and thoughts on other promotions, non-WWE promotions, such as Ring of Honor, Lucha Underground, Impact. So he goes over that. He even talks about BTE being the elite. You get Q&A sessions. You get monthly retro reviews. And I do those with Sean Ross Sapp. We just released this week our retro review for TNA Unbreakable. So if you're a level one tier 1 level subscriber, you get to see that, like, right now this week. And in a couple of weeks, we're going to have SummerSlam 1992. One of my favorite retro reviews that I've done. No, actually, my favorite retro review that I've done with Sean. That was a lot of fun. A great pay-per-view. So, lots of fun. You get dark match commentary. You get scoops, news scoops, lots of things posted to Fightful Select before it ends up on the main site. So go check that out. Subscribe. You can say $5 a month and you get a whole lot of content. So go to FightfulSelect.com. Take a look at everything you get right there. So those are my programming notes. That's what you. Oh, and then on Thursday I do my G1 recap. The G1 New Japan Pro Wrestling's G1 Climax Tournament number 28, and it's almost done. Almost done. We've got we've only got about a week left. It's weird because there's been so much wrestling, and I've been watching so much of the G1, doing these recaps for FightfulSelect.com, and I've got more stuff in the pipes I'm going to be talking about soon. We've got, we should talk about Raw at this point. I've been babbling way too much. Raw, August 6th, 2018 begins with last week's a recap of last week's shenanigans. Kurt Angle is in the ring with Constable Baron Corbin. Together, they are known as Constangle. Kurt says Ronda Rousey is having her in-ring debut tonight. He still is giving us the Brock hates WWE hard sell. Roman's music interrupts, and he always interrupts Kurt. Like, Kurt never gets around to finishing his ideas because Roman always interrupts for some reason. Roman just has this impatience as far as Kurt goes, where he just has to get in and prevent the man from just going through what's in his mind. And it was especially infuriating a few weeks ago, in the last lead up that they had to Brock's match with Roman's match with Brock, where Kurt would say, "I'm about to announce the number one contender," and the number one contender is Fan, fan, fan. And then you're like, Jesus, Roman, why did you interrupt? It could have been you, but maybe Kurt is going to change your mind because you're such a dick you're interrupting him all the time. What does Roman have against Kurt? Anyway, so there's stuff happening in the ring. People are talking. Roman says at some point, if you kick the big dog out, who's going to protect the yard? That is, that's marketing speak right there. No one talks like that in real life. And, yeah. That sounded so phony. Roman calls Corbin out for running from Brock last week, and there's confirmation basically that the matchup for SummerSlam is still on, despite, fears that there might have been a suspension. No, everything is staying true. Corbin calls Kurt out, and Kurt tells Roman that he hopes he's going to kick Brock's ass. And Corbin's in the, he goes, whoa, and it calls Kurt out on that and says, hey, you're playing favorites. As a general manager, you need to be impartial. You shouldn't be playing favorites like that. And he says basically, you act like you own the show, Kurt, but basically, this is Stephanie McMahon's show. She's the real boss. You just make the matches. And Kurt's like, yeah, you're right. I do make the matches. So I'm going to make a match right now. Roman Reigns versus Baron Corbin. Let's get a referee out here. But before we even get a referee, Constable Baron Corbin gets a cheap shot on Roman, and the match then begins. The bell rings even though there's not a ref. The timekeeper, the bell ringer, who is the timekeeper, taking some liberties here with the rules. If I were the official, afterwards, I would have gone up to him and said, look, little hammer boy, you don't start the match unless I tell you. I'm the official. I went to officiating school for this. Did you go to little hammer whacking school? No, you didn't. You don't have a degree. I have knowledge and power on my side. I'm just trying to entertain myself. There really wasn't much to this match. I feel like, okay, first and foremost, commentary is putting over the fact that this may be the final opportunity that Roman Reigns may have at the Universal title, and I don't believe them. I don't believe them, because I think Roman has had 2 previous final attempts at the Universal title. It's kind of like, saying that is kind of like, retirement in wrestling, or losing or if a stipulation is a loser leaves town match, they never really leave town forever, they don't retire for real. It doesn't stick. But no, I find that Baron Corbin, as it stands right now, is probably one of the most improved wrestlers of 2018. Like, think about Baron Corbin 1 year ago with the briefcase debacle and the U.S. title shenanigans, and being punished by being squashed by John Cena. Think about that guy and look at this guy now. It's we're looking at 2 different guys, and I'm not just talking about the character work, what he's doing outside the ring, but inside as well. I feel his offense is much more crisp. He looks strong. He seems motivated. He has a fire. He seems motivated, and that's a good thing, because we're getting an entertaining Baron Corbin in the ring because of it. It's not perfect yet, because wow, he sure likes that cross-face chinlock thing that he does, right? That thing that he spent 6 minutes applying to Finn Balor last week, put it 3 times on Roman Reigns tonight. They gotta stop that. That's way too much. No. But aside from that, he's been really, really solid in the ring. And whereas I felt like this match didn't have much going for it, that it was fairly paint by numbers, I wouldn't mind seeing more Roman Reigns, Baron Corbin. I feel like we are going to see more, but I'd be into it. I think that in a situation where both guys are really given time and the permission to go above and beyond what they can do usually on a match on Raw, I think we're going to get something really good. That deep 6 that he pulled on Roman tonight. Man, why is the deep 6 why is that a transition move? That looks good. As a finisher goes, that's bananas. It looks really good. Anyway, so basically, Roman hits a. Roman calls for the spear. No, wait a second. I don't want to go through all of the match. No, no, that's it. Roman, apologies. Roman calls for the spear, and Corbin rolls out to the outside. He starts walking up the ramp, saying, "Oh, I'm done with this. I'm gone." But Finn Balor comes out, basically sandwiches him between, basically sandwiching Corbin between Roman and Finn. So he goes back, Superman punch off the steel steps by Roman, throws him back in, spear, pin. Finn is satisfied with the results. Roman says, he's all yours, buddy. You can go do whatever you want with them. So, coup de grace on Corbin by Finn Balor. Finn Balor jumping onto the chest of a prone man who was just lost a competitive match. But that's okay. I'm all right. I don't want to get too much into that. Was it me, or did Finn Balor look particularly jacked? I thought he looked really... He was huge. Seems to me like just in a week. Unless I wasn't really paying attention last week, but it just jumped out at me tonight. They cut to a backstage where Ronda Rousey is there. She's talking with Natalya, and and as they cut, she's there and she's smiling, right? She's got the big smile because she's chatting with Natalya, and Cole says she's the baddest woman on the planet, but she's smiling. It was just, that was funny. They do a recap of the situation where Rollins has to deal with two guys, that he has to, he can't win a fair match because with Dolph, he has to deal with Drew, and if he's fighting Drew, he has to deal with Dolph. So Kurt says, if you find a partner tonight, he tells this to Kurt, he's been telling this to Kurt Angle. And he says, if you find yourself a partner tonight, Sethy boy, you can face both dudes, both the Drew and Dolph. Fantastico. Very good. And they're really pushing this aspect of this idea that Seth can't beat two guys at once, and they're really driving it hard. At this stage, I really feel it's inevitable for either either Dean or Jason Jordan to return at SummerSlam to help Seth out with Drew. I think it's inevitable at this point. All the signs are there. We had a match, Bobby Roode versus Mojo Rawley. Look, if it's okay with you, I won't talk much about the match because there's not much to talk about. It was solid. It was okay. But there was nothing. This was a match devoid of anything interesting. It doesn't help, being frank here, it doesn't help that I'm not a Mojo Rawley guy. People, get fired up because of Mojo's promos. He's such a good promo. I find he's very, very okay. Like, he does a fine job. But I don't see his promo work as a selling point. I'm not very high on Bobby Roode, and that's not Bobby Roode's fault because there was a time where I was very high on him, but he's been booked like crap to make us feel completely uninterested about him. I mean, here's a feud with two guys that comes literally out of nowhere, and there's nothing. There's nothing to it. And as much as I'm not big on either, I feel that if there were stakes to this match, there was something for them to achieve, to attain, to hope for, to strive for, then not only do I feel like we'd be more interested, but it would help us get to care about these characters, these wrestlers, more than we do now. Like, humor me for a second. In the bubble, let's say Kurt Angle comes out and says, Bobby, Mojo, you two obviously have a problem with each other. You guys have spark, but this is what we're going to do. I see a lot of promise in you two. I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to win a shot at the Intercontinental Championship. But we're going to settle this between the two of you in a best-of-7 series. And I am convinced that these two, in this type of situation, where you add this gravitas, this stipulation to all the matches they get involved in, I am convinced that they would be able to deliver some fantastic matches. And then you have the carrot at the other end. It's like the IC title. They get a shot at it. It's not, sometimes I just feel like it's not that hard. And I understand that in real life booking, you have all sorts of other situations and also all sorts of other situations and egos and politics that you have to deal with. But also, a good idea is a good idea. And it doesn't take much to make the audience want to care about guys or girls. And I feel like, I mean, Bobby still gets the reaction that he does. Yes, it's all entrance, but he still gets a good reaction. And I'm sure that pushed properly, given an opportunity to shine, pretty sure people would get behind Mojo as well. Anyway, Bobby Roode won. And I'm pretty sure we're not done with this feud. Excuse me while I drink out of my E-flask for a second. See, if you drink like this, it looks like you're having a shot of gin. And you can't drink. You could drink like this. Then it looks stupid. Or does it look cooler? You know, it's kind of like, you know, when you watch gangster movies and they hold, instead of holding the gun like upright, they hold it on the side like that, and that makes it look cool. Is that the equivalent here? I think the correct answer, Warren, here is the E-flask is not cool. Elias is in the ring. He strums a little. He's got a camera crew with him. Someone failed to tell the cameraman that he's not plugged into anything. I think it's a rib. Elias says they're redoing the documentary because he feels that the documentary painted him as a bit arrogant and out of touch. By the way, the Elias documentary on the network is really funny. It's funny. The commitment that Elias has to this gimmick is unparalleled. He is invested 100% into this character. He understands it, and that's why it works so well. He's completely into it. So he does his usual thing, and he talks trash against Jacksonville. The audience completely turns against him, and Bobby Lashley interrupts him. They trade some barbs. He says, Elias says, "Yeah, Bobby, you're funny. You're a funny guy." This was when he said, "Yeah, you're funny. You're a funny guy." And then he turns to the cameraman. He said, "But he's not that funny. Keep the camera on me." He's got the best one-liners. Just these little left jabs that he sneaks in. He's been so good recently on his delivery. Says he tells Bobby Lashley that his entire comeback has been a joke, which had me going, well, he's not wrong. Bobby says, the next time my name comes out of your mouth, what I do to you, it won't be a joke. So the segment ends when Elias blindsides Bobbly Lashley. But Lashley battles back and hits his stalling vertical suplex with I think he should call the Vertigoplex from now on. I think that's the best name for it. Wasn't a bad segment. Wasn't great either. But you know what? Elias is the heel Lashley needs, especially if Bobby actually, if they let Bobby be intense and angry and not just like come down and be semi good natured about what's going on, No, let him come in, let him be mad, let him be intense, and because Elias will be able to get under his skin, will be able to mess things up for him like that. And he's bulletproof, so he can take a loss to Bobby. That'll put him over. Backstage, we have Seth Rollins, who's not necessarily looking for his partner, but who's backstage, and is with Tyler Breeze, who says, if you need a partner, it could be me. I'm right here. We could call ourselves CrossFit Breezes, which I thought was funny. But then we find out that Roman is ready to pull double duty for his Shield brother. Roman is Seth's partner against Drew and Dolph. Rezar of the Authors of Pain versus Titus O'Neil is our next match. I put on a lot of enthusiasm in what I do because it's fun. It's fun to play the game, and it's fun to be, to do kayfabe sometimes. And, sometimes I do exaggerate out of good nature because I like wrestling, and I think that's part of the fun of watching wrestling and commenting wrestling, But rarely do I get, like, really, really mad at wrestling. Ian and Axel Rotten back in 1995 at Hardcore Heaven 1995, the Taipei Death Match, made me mad. That was a match that made me angry. The Authors of Pain, the way WWE has been booking the Authors of Pain since arriving on Maine is making me angry. First of all, there's no point in putting tag team specialists in one-on-one matches. The Authors of Pain are not two singles wrestlers put together in a tag team. They are a legitimate tag team. Why is a perceived jobber team, Titus Worldwide, why are they offering up competition to the Authors of Pain? The Authors of Pain should essentially be devouring everyone across the entire WWE. From the moment that they came in, they should have been just plowing through everyone, coming out of nowhere and just beating up the competition. Why did Rezar need outside help to put Titus O'Neil away? That doesn't make sense. He shouldn't need help. He shouldn't need a trip up by his partner. These aren't sneaky heels. These are monster heels. They don't need backhanded ass fuckery. Let me try that again. They don't need backhanded trickery to put their opposition away. They don't need to cheat or to use tricks to win. They just need to be destructive and brutal. That's what they do. WWE does not know or doesn't care about putting them over like that. It's at some point, Michael Cole, trying to put over Rezar, said all he could muster up to say is, "This Rezar is a bad dude. This Rezar is a bad dude." And then next thing you know, they give the mic time. You don't give these guys mic time. I went over this last week, and I don't want to expound too long on it, but man, if the plan was to call them up because of the the rumored Money in the Bank tag team ladder match, the fact that the Money in the Bank ladder match for tag teams never took place has been the absolute worst thing for them. See, that's what happens when you have one person, when you have one person who decides on a whim what to do, what's going what are we, what's going to happen. Who decides that one week, yeah, we're going to do this, and the next week, no, we're going to do this instead. You got two guys who were over like nuts in NXT, brought up for allegedly this match. Then this one guy decides, nope, we're not doing that match anymore. And then they're in limbo because they don't know what to do with them anymore. It's just hurting their career. It's hurting two guys who were a sure thing. You wonder seriously how you could mess up. Main roster seems to never fail to amaze us on that front. It's crazy. We have the Kevin Owens show next. And his guest is Jinder Mahal, who has helped him deal with his stress and physical issues. He says, Jinder and I have accomplished something not many people have, and that is beat Braun Strowman. And I like the very subtle shade that he throws at Jinder. He says, I defeated Braun Strowman in a grueling cage match. You defeated him by countout last week, which isn't the same thing as me, but you defeated him nonetheless, kind of. I thought that was funny. That's very Kevin Owens-y. And every time Jinder tries to speak, Kevin is cutting him off. That's pretty interesting. And basically the payoff of this is a feat of strength from Braun Strowman, something that we hadn't seen in a while, where Braun Strowman is apparently got under the little stage setup that they had placed, like at the Okerlund position at the top of the stage, and Braun just basically flips everything over. Feat of strength. And that sets up a match between Kevin Owens and Jinder Mahal. And Jinder is basically cowering off to start with. He says no, he doesn't want anything to do with them. This is the same man who was your WWE champion for most of 2017, basically cowering off in the face of opposition. It was the match. Not much of a match. It was basically briefcase shenanigans. They try to do the same thing as last week, get Braun counted out. It doesn't work. But instead, KO runs up. When that doesn't work, KO instead runs up the the aisle, the runway with the briefcase. Uh, Braun chases him, slaps him across the face. Jinder attacks Braun from behind. Braun hits him, Jinder, with the briefcase, and that forces a disqualification. Um, so there was, again, not much of a match here, but it did set up another. It helps further the idea, the story that Braun couldn't lose anyway. He can lose by disqualification. He can lose by countout, and if he does, he loses the briefcase to Kevin Owens. So they're basically just setting this up, reminding us on ways that this can happen. So I'm okay with this. It was fine, and it keeps all these wonderful people on TV as well. That's E Flasky good. Backstage, Kurt is talking to Stephanie McMahon on the phone, who says she has to take care of something. And after we get a recap of the Brock Roman feud, epic feud, which Michael Cole referred to as this rivalry that has captured our imagination. I was like, yeah, captured is the right word. We've tried to escape this feud. We've just never been able. Well, after that, we find out that it turns out that Stephanie McMahon is forbidding Roman from being Seth's partner. We find this out because Seth and Roman run into Kurt and Baron Corbin, and Corbin basically announces the news. And Roman's like, I don't care, because that's really his catchphrase, because that's Roman's that's his catchphrase. I don't care. I don't care what Stephanie says. I'm going in the ring anyway. And Corbin says, Stephanie says that if you disobey, you forfeit your match at SummerSlam. And Seth is like, no, man, I got this. Don't worry, I got this. Okay, fine. Roman then asks Corbin, how are your ribs? Corbin says, well, why? And he punches him in the ribs, which I thought was funny. I liked Roman Reigns tonight. I liked Roman Reigns' character tonight. This is what we like about him. This is sort of a bit of a jerk, bit of a sass mouth. I like this. I thought that was fun. So basically, it ends up that Seth is in a handicap match against Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler. So the question that I have is why didn't Seth just go run back to the locker room, grab Tyler Breeze and say, Tyler, sorry man, something happened with Roman. Are you warmed up? Are you still game? Can I still count on you? That would have been fantastic. Don't you think that would have been great? He just decides to run backstage, grab Tyler Breeze, and everyone would have popped huge. Would be like, yeah, yes, and get the perfect opportunity. I mean, Tyler can eat the pin, Breeze can eat the pin, not a problem. Then it's just the idea of Seth being smart about this and going to get a partner, someone who usually isn't in this position. That would have been great, in this position of being in this tier, upper mid card, upper or lower top card, or wherever you position Seth Rollins and Drew and Dolph right now. Someone who isn't involved in that scene. You go and get him. That's great. It's like I'm creating opportunities and surprise. We're just creating something unexpected. WWE sometimes the idea of creating something unexpected is like the main event at WrestleMania, where it's like, oh yeah, you guys all think Roman's going to win? Well, no, haha. Brock is hanging on to the title some more. You weren't expecting that now, were you? And that's just so heavy. It has so many heavy consequences. And you're like, no, we weren't expecting this, but it doesn't it doesn't make us happy. It doesn't make us want to cheer. It's actually it's kind of a bad decision, WWE. That's how it feels like sometimes. That's how I feel WWE perceive this notion of anything can happen. This would have been the perfect example of something, of just an event that keeps us on our toes, where you're like, well, they're actually going through with it. And it could have been either completely a throwaway segment where we never see Tyler Breeze and Seth Rollins in the same team again, or could have just used that to bump Breeze up just a little bit. And as fans, the audience, we would have completely eaten all of that up, and we would have asked for seconds. That's how much we would have liked that moment. Didn't require much. But no, the story that they wanted to tell was, again, Seth is outnumbered in this situation. You know, even though he tries really, really hard in this, even though he tries really, really hard in this match, you know, he tries to bait both guys at first to separate them and pick them off one by one. He can't do it. There's that one spot that they whiffed pretty bad, where Seth was jumping off the ropes and McIntyre was supposed to catch him, sort of dropped him and picked him up again and did a knee backbreaker on the knee. But yeah, no, they put this story over. See, the story they wanted to tell here really was that Seth couldn't do. It was basically a hard sell, right? To make us really understand that even though Seth is incredible and awesome, he's just outnumbered here and he can't get it done. That's why it finished, I guess, with just a super kick, because he was exhausted, and I say just a super kick. I remember a time when a super kick was a finisher. But but it's true, but it doesn't really bother me. I'm okay with the evolution of moves. I'm all right with that. But yeah, it's very much on the nose. And I think here, what could have been an interesting story element, had they decided to go with Tyler Breeze as his partner, instead of just really driving home, like in a very ham-fisted way, that Seth can't go at it alone. Not only can he not do it alone, but he needs a proper partner to do it too. I mean, Breeze gave it all he could, but he was a bit overwhelmed in this situation. My goodness, who's going to help poor Seth out? Of course, they're setting everything up for SummerSlam, for the return of Dean. I think this is the writing's on the wall with this match here, with the way commentary's been putting it over, that the numbers game is against him. If it's not Dean, it'll probably maybe Jason Jordan, but one of these two is returning at SummerSlam to help Seth out. I think it would have been even more compelling. It would have added another layer had it been Seth. Not only can Seth, it would have been a lot more compelling if the story they tried to tell was, not only is Seth outnumbered, but he needs a proper partner to get this done. And again, you're all sitting there and you're saying to yourself, geez, Warren, you're right. Why don't you work for WWE Creative? And I I don't wanna. What I want to do is sit around and drink from my E-flask. Oh, that's good stuff. It's water, Mom. My mom doesn't watch these videos. Then we have the B Team versus the Revival. Look for there again, not something it wasn't much of a match this either. Um, but I liked how physical this match was. Like they were laying into each other, both the Revival and the B Team. Oh, by the way, did you guys know that the B Team was a comedy act? Did you realize that? Because in case you didn't get it, they got new goofy music tonight, right? And that's just to make sure. Like we wouldn't want you to take the B Team too seriously now. They're a comedy team, right? So let's just keep that in mind. Never mind the awesome theme that they had. Let's just go with this cheering pep rally thing. All right, let's do that. It was, such a simple gimmick to execute, and it just becomes more and more convoluted. Anyway, the match I felt was starting to hit a stride when the Deleters of Worlds appeared in the ring. Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt basically taking the places of Curtis Axel and Dash Wilder, I think. Yeah, it was Dash Wilder. They were no longer at their team's positions. Both Hardy and Wyatt were basically there and trying to tag in their team members, but it was so everyone was like in shock. Was like, what happened? What's going on? And then they basically attack everyone, force the DQ, and I really liked where this match was heading. I am completely okay with more B Team and Revival. I feel like they would put on something put on something memorable, something good. In the meantime, what we're going to get out of this situation is a triple threat match for the tag team titles, the Raw tag team titles next week. Next we had the Paul Heyman interview. I don't have much to say aside from wow, that was cool. You can say what you want about Paul Heyman. This guy knows how to put on a performance. Because what he did went beyond the simple promo. He he breathed life into a new aspect of his character / relationship with Brock Lesnar. Sitting there, his eyes red because he's been crying for days, uh, poorly shaven, wrinkled suit, saying that he's tried calling him, but he's disconnected his number. We shouldn't be doing this. It's going to make him angry. How he doesn't understand why Brock is doing this. They had envisioned going off into the sunset together with the UFC title on one shoulder, the Universal title on the other. And then Renee Young asking him, You know, is there anyone else here in WWE that you could see yourself with as a potential client? And he's completely distraught and says, you know, what an inconceivable question that would have been a week ago. You know, how could I just leave and go with someone else? This was such an amazing segment. Yes, yes, this is entirely a it's a reimagining or an adaptation of The Scorned Lover, right? He's just been dumped. Not the scorned lover. He's not scorned. He's been dumped. Um, he's been released from the relationship, and it's taken him by surprise. He's shocked. But the way that everything just his came out of him, his delivery, he was broken up about this, and to pull this off so naturally, so naturally, and so effortlessly and convincingly, because this was not over the top. Uh, this is not over the top. I'm trying to sell you tickets, Paul Heyman. This was there was something very human about this promo. To be able to do that, you kind of imagine Paul Heyman, who is a legitimate friend, apparent from what we've heard, a real friend of Brock Lesnar for years. Can only imagine him putting himself in that position mentally, thinking to himself, well, what if Brock actually did this to me, and just let that take him over, like a character actor, right? Just like there's people who train all their lives to be able to deliver this kind of performance. Well, yeah, I might be exaggerating, but there are people who train to put on this kind of performance. And don't train all their lives, but do, go to acting school, take classes, coaching. This was a fantastic segment and will be remembered as one of the best things to have come out of WWE in 2018, if not of the past 5 years. This is memorable. And just last week, we were talking a little about how we were tired of Paul's spiel, coming out and doing the defending undisputed, etc., and how it was getting a little fatigued. And look how this resolution, think about this. This resolution that we're obviously heading towards regarding the Universal title, regarding Brock and Roman. It's not only, we not only feel like it's going to be good for the Universal title, not just good for us fans so that we can finally move on to something else, but it's also paying dividends for Paul Heyman's character, who we've started to feel was getting stale. This scenario is actually helping him tap into things we haven't seen him do. That's amazing. It's amazing, but it also demonstrates just how heavy how Brock Lesnar and the Universal title situation has been weighing down on WWE, because it's been affecting so many people. Not only the fans' relationship with Brock or the relationship with Roman, but Paul Heyman as a performer as well. Man, this is a sign that it is more than time for the Universal title situation, the Brock Roman situation, to be kaput. We're done. Because as we're advancing towards this end game, we're finally freeing up these new creative ways, these new creative roads, pathways. And you can almost feel it among I mean, none of us are really, when I say us fans, none of us are really going to be relieved until Roman Reigns wins at SummerSlam, until Roman Reigns is holding the Universal title in his hand. We're still all collectively holding our breath. But this is already feeling so much better. So much better. I'm gonna try and move on here just a little faster, a little quicker. We had Sasha Banks versus and Bailey, the Boss and Hug connection. Doesn't quite roll off the tongue, does it? Boss and Hug connection. I know it's supposed to be a throwback to the Rock and Sock connection, but Rock and Sock connection had alliteration on its side. Here it's kind of force fed. Versus the Riot Squad. The Viking and juvenile delinquent stuff is so forced and uninteresting, and they need to stop that shit. When talking about Sarah Logan and Liv Morgan, respectively, and especially Michael Cole talking about how Sarah Logan invokes the spirit of Odin for wisdom and Thor for strength. My God, is he going? Are we going to go through the entire Norse pantheon after this? Is it going to be like Freya for her skills at bow and arrows, and Heimdall for bridge building, Tyr for losing his hand? I don't know. It's got to stop. I thought this was a very effective match. Personally speaking, this was my favorite match of the night. And it served to continue establishing Banks and Bailey as a legitimate tag team, strong tag team, babyface tag team. As Bailey played the babyface in peril for most of the match. Took a lot of bumps. The Riot Squad did their heel rolls to a perfection, keeping her away from Sasha. Even doing the spot where you think Bailey's going to get the tag, but Logan runs around and swipes Sasha off the apron. Look, everything worked, and when Sasha got the hot tag, everyone was ready for it. That audience went bananas. And then Sasha and Bailey start getting some high-flying offense, not interference. Bailey hits a Frankensteiner. Sasha top rope Meteora. Liv breaks up the pin on Sarah Logan, but and she gets dumped out of the ring. Bailey jumps from the apron onto Liv. Bailey tries actually to jump from the apron onto Liv, but a mysterious person in a black hoodie pulls Liv out of the way. And I'm like, what? A mystery woman angle? Really? But no, it was Ruby Riott in a hoodie. I'm happy. News had come out this week that Ruby Riott last week wasn't going to require surgery. That was fantastic news because I really like Ruby Riott, and the women's division on Raw desperately needs her right now. I was really, really glad to hear that. My only question, the only thing that baffled me here is why did she come in a sneakily in a black hoodie? She could have just popped out from the audience as Ruby Riott and she's back, and that would have been fine. I don't understand the little surprise twist there. I don't get it, but it doesn't matter because Ruby Riott is back, and that caused enough distraction for Sarah Logan to get the roll up on Sasha in the ring for the win. I like this match. It it was a perfect TV match, and what it had to do, it did extremely well. I just wish the women got more airtime than this. That's all. Main event was Ronda Rousey versus Alicia Fox. Turns out that this was a whole lot of nothing. Kind of like the E-Flask. Buy one today. And when I say a whole lot of nothing, is at some point, when you're a savvy wrestling connoisseur, such as your boy Warren Hayes, you look at when segments start, you follow the time, you look at your watch, you look at your phone, the time on your phone, you look at your heads-up display on your VCR machine or on your microwave, depending on where your television is set to watch Monday Night Raw. And you look at the time going, and then you realize, oh, okay, it's 11 o'clock, and we should be in the main event right now, and it hasn't started yet. And not only does the main event not start at 11 o'clock, Alexa and Alicia come out. Alicia comes out to Alexa's music. This is someone that they earlier in the evening put over as a trailblazer in the women's division, that she's the former Divas champion and so on and so forth. And they show her beating up the Bella Twins and Paige and Sasha, Bailey. Yeah, no, but she comes out to Alexa's music. Anyway, so they come to the ring and Charlie Caruso's there. They're gonna cut a promo. And not only are they gonna cut a promo, they're gonna cut two promos. Alexa's gonna cut one. Then Alicia's gonna cut one. And then Alexa's gonna wrap it up and cut her own until finally Ronda Rousey and Natalya come out. And we're easily into 11:04 at this point. I'm like, what? So this match is going to last like it's going to be a blink of an eye. It wasn't exactly that, but it wasn't exactly a main event match. You know what I mean? Because it was so short, and I don't know why WWE is insisting on giving their women such short matches, especially women who can go. Alicia Fox has one of the most beautiful Northern Light suplexes. Ronda Rousey, as far as we've seen right now, she can go. Why wouldn't they have given this a proper main event length match? Are they still that concerned about Ronda's in-ring skill? Do they still feel they have to cover up for that? That our matches are better suited as being very short? Are we going the Goldberg route here? Covering up all the faults by making the matches as short as possible? See, Ronda has these explosive moments of brilliance. Those tosses that she was delivering unto a Miss Fox, those were severe. And they were quick, and they were snappy, and they looked painful. There was not one of those throws that Alicia took that I was like, I winced at every one. And I started laughing because she can't take many more of these. That's impossible. How is she being protected? But then Ronda's a pro. She undoubtedly knows how to perform those kinds of throws with the intent of hurting you or not. So I'm not too worried about it. Jesus, those throws. And she puts the armbar on Alicia Fox, who taps immediately. Again, establishing the fact that the armbar is the most devastating armbar in the world. But man, the segment leading into this match was way too long, and it took me out of it because the more it went on, the more all I could think of was how nothing this match is going to be, and ultimately it was nothing. And I really feel that they could have been much better served, stretching it out more, allowing Alicia to get more offense in, maybe have her as the idea that Alexa is promoting here in the feud is that Ronda is an overhyped rookie. Oh, look, we're putting her in the ring with a veteran. She's been in the WWE for 10 years. She is a trailblazer here for the women's division. So if Ronda is new to this, and if Ronda is an overhyped rookie, why not let her have a comeback, a glorious, speedy, devastating comeback against a seasoned veteran like Alicia Fox that can go and has a beautiful moveset? That could have added a much more interesting layer to the story than just, hey guys, look at Ronda Rousey. She can beat the people really fast. She can put in the armbar and they go a taps right there because the armbar is a strong. I mean, I wasn't expecting Alicia Fox to win. That's not the point. I feel they could have told a better story. And right now, I feel like there's not much psychology being involved in stuff that Ronda's been doing or in some women's matches as well. They've disappointed me a little when it comes to just in-ring storytelling and psychology. Feels like the the storytelling happens all around the match, but not inside the match. But it's inside the match that makes it interesting. Oh yeah, that was Raw. It's it's kind of it was a mixed bag for me. It's if I think back to SmackDown Live 2 weeks ago, where it was so good and so the pacing was so great and everything just sort of fell right into each other, very very simply. Click, 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 click. Now it just feels like Raw tonight felt disjointed. It felt disjointed because there's too many tonal shifts. There's not enough good, compelling in-ring action to keep us satisfied. There were some really good things, but there were some very questionable stuff as well. There you have it. So, guys, that wraps up. This will wrap up another edition of the Warren Hayes Show. Remember tomorrow to the SmackDown Live review happening right here on my YouTube channel, which you can find, by the way, at tinyurl / Mr. Warren Hayes. You can follow me on Twitter at Mr. Warren Hayes. And then tomorrow, Wednesday evening, my combination 205 Live NXT review for FightfulSelect.com. Go subscribe and you get to see me. I do a bunch of content that's for premium users, for subscribers. You're a premium person because you come here and you enjoy my content. Immediately, that makes you a cut above the rest. So why don't you just indulge yourself? Show the world just how much of a premium person you really are by signing up to FightfulSelect.com. And then on Thursday, you'll get to see my weekly G1 wrap-up, which will be my second to last wrap-up because the G1 is finishing just on Sunday. Tanahashi versus Omega in the finals. That's what I think. I think Jay White is going to cost Okada his spot on his match on Friday, I think, against Tanahashi. I think Jay's going to cost Okada his spot, and it's going to set off a war within chaos. Maybe you don't watch New Japan and you have no idea what I'm talking about, but if you do, you're certainly like, oh, that's a bold prediction there, Warren, my boy. So yeah, that's how things go, and we're going to wrap this up. Thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in, watching to the very end. Like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And I'll see you next time.